Well, we have Rotus joining us now to review the stories this morning. Hello, Rotus.
Good morning, Good morning, Rufai. Good morning, Mr. K. How are you doing?
Yes.
Good to see you. Yeah, so look, I mean, you've seen the headline in today's This Day newspaper, and it's elsewhere, right? The stock market reacting to the speech from the president, essentially validating that he did, inspire the market and told the market what it wanted to hear. So if you look at the NGX yesterday, it posted a 5.23% gain, which was, I mean, we haven't seen that. If you look at the returns for May, we haven't seen those returns for, I think, the last 2 years or so. So it's been pretty impressive, right? Yeah. And I hope we have the figures within the context of...
Before we get to the figures, Rotus.
Yeah.
Yes, the fuel scarcity.
Oh, the fuel scarcity. Oh, yeah. No. I mean, as we said yesterday, right, we used the example of when Rufai brought up the article on the exchange rate moving. That's the official exchange rate. If we are speculators and we believe that the exchange rate is going to move, we are going to hold on to the dollars that we have and prompt a scarcity that will push the price up. That's how speculators work. So with fuel scarcity you're seeing now, with them suggesting that or saying that, or rather after the president saying that fuel scarcity is gone, fuel subsidy is gone, you've seen the stations against the wishes of the regulators hoarding fuel. And it's simple. They want to, the inventory that they have now, they're like, we will hold on to this and sell it at a deregulated price. And you're seeing some folks saying that fuel is selling for, you're seeing some numbers, some folks told me they bought at $4.50 today, others buying at, so it's profit. They want to make profits off of the inventory that they have. And it's predatory, but to them, I mean, have you seen the press release from the NLC, right? Coming out saying that this is the president should have consulted with stakeholders. But as far as the scarcity you're seeing is being induced by the stations themselves because they want to profit off it.
I mean, so nobody is against removal of subsidy. What is wrong by President Bola Tinubu is the way he went about it. The way you announced that a speech on your inaugural speech, which we have now discovered that was not in the speech written originally. It was an ad-lib. Because it was not what was submitted out as the speech. He just ad-libbed on that. See, before you remove subsidy, there are some things. And yesterday I kept on talking about econometrics. Rotus, you're an economist, you should know econometrics.
Okay.
Very well. What will be the outlook of the variables when you pull out the subsidy? You know, we've had this argument many times, Rotus, you and I.
Yeah.
That if you pull out subsidy today, there should be a floor price band of where it should go. You know, throughout last year, NNPC tried calculate. I think it was NLC that brought out a ridiculous number. Then NNPC redacted the number and said it's going to be around 500 or 300 band. You remember?
Okay.
So we have not even sorted that out, which is also part of what I call the framework. That should have gone into you now knowing the analysis of when you face a removal, what does it come to? All right? Rather than shocking the system and say, go ahead with it. And the argument we are making, we are also quick to crucify the marketers. But I know a little bit how depots run. Because I have people that work in depots. And I have people that own tank farms. This is how the business runs. When you have people come to your tank farm, they take petrol out, take 3,000 liters and all of that. It is only as dependent on the price variable at which they take it out the first time. Because once they finish selling and they come back, if anything changes in the market, it will be reflective. Even the charges at which people will collect with you and the gantry where your tanker is loading, it will be reflective in there. And this talk, NNPC always says that we have more than enough liters, to fill. Does NNPC have enough tank farm to store all their petrol? Don't they store in other people's tank farms?
So what are you trying to say now?
So what I'm trying to say is that they are hedging their business.
Well, that's what I just said.
No, listen to me, Rotus. Calm down.
Yeah.
The people that are increasing the price, they are doing that because when they have to restock, the parameters changes.
Okay.
So it is not the money at which they sold their stock. When they go back to the tank farm, they'll be able to buy it any longer. And it only makes business sense because of the announcement made. See, the major oil marketers will support it.
Yeah, Moman released a special
statement. You know why, Rotus? They own the big tank farms. So they will be the one that will be able to manipulate all the cost. But you, the last mile filling station owner, you will be the one to take the brunt from the price they will set there, and when it comes back to you, then what happens? You buy at the higher rates, and you have to resell and face the public. So I'm not surprised that Momo will shout and say, yeah, it's all good, I applaud Zepulu. What will happen is that the dynamic changes once you go back. Momo are the big owners of the tank farms. So the point I'm just making is I support subsidy removal, Rotus, and I've said it, I will support President Bola Tinubu. But the way he did it, we should have had a framework and a phased removal of some sort. It's as simple as that. Because it is when inflation numbers come out, we'll see the impact on the economy.
Right.
This economy does not deserve these hits at this point in time.
Okay, go ahead.
So in terms of just the headline, in terms of the reaction, investors, they say the stock market is looking good, and also that the president has met with the governor of the CBN, the GCO, NNPC, CL, to perhaps begin to work out the modalities of how this will work out, of phasing out fuel subsidy, the impact of on Nigerians, the coherent policies that have to be put in place. Your take on this, Mr. K?
Well, when I listen to what Rotus said and then listen to what Rufai is saying, I tend to be a bit here and there. Because on the one hand, yes, the president did the perfect thing by announcing that it is gone. There is a month period within which he has to be able to make the palliatives available for the people. But what I expected was that once you make that announcement, the president wasn't going to get any sleep whatsoever on that day. Today is Wednesday.
Yes.
Or Tuesday. Wednesday.
Wednesday,
31st.
so 31st of May. So
On
2
Monday,
days.
when he was sworn in, the moment you make an announcement like that, I'm expecting that President Bola Ahmed Tinubu will get no sleep because he has murdered sleep in Nigeria. We all remember what happened when we had Occupy Nigeria. All the videos of Occupy Nigeria is trending today. It's trending today because I drove from Lekki to this place and I can see the traffic. I can see the people on the street. I can see so many people even fighting at petrol station. And if you're not careful, it's going to roller coaster. It's going to have ripple effect, and people will have rage and anger and frustration. What should be the honeymoon period for the president will now be cut short. Probably will no longer
It's
exist.
cut short already.
It's no longer
Because
going
this is
to
supposed to be
exist.
honeymoon.
This is the honeymoon.
This is the honeymoon
There's
period
not
for
going
him.
to be honeymoon for him. So we need to make sure, the president needs to make sure he's getting no sleep for the next few days, get his kitchen cabinet together and begin to look at where is the palliative. How do we get the PPR, what do they call that organization? That is the NNPC's special team that should go out and begin to talk to the suppliers, go to the different tank farms, make sure that there is enough, and then remove the heat that Rufai is saying will be there. Let's remove it. Or what do you think?
We have a regulator, right? The midstream, downstream, NMBPRA said yesterday that no fuel station should sell above the pump price. All the regulator, there's no need for any, all the regulator has to do is go to the stations and make sure that that's it, yeah. So,
Basically.
yeah, but we've been on this subsidy matter since 2012. Everybody knows it has to, even before.
1973, actually.
Everybody knows it has to go. The public knows it has to go. You are not even 185 in Lagos, in Port Harcourt, River State, Delta, other parts of the country. It's selling for over 185, right?
No, my sister is in
700,
Ogun State.
right?
My sister is in Ogun State. She's a farmer. She called me this morning and said, "Bros, we're buying petrol for 500. What is happening?"
What I meant was
500
before
Ogun State.
the announcement. So
about
this
300 now?
has been known, right? So it has to go. And as I said yesterday, he has been placed in a corner because the last person in charge dragged this matter for 8 years. Our exclusive interview with President Buhari in Aso Rock, Dr. Abati went there, Prince Tunduka Babangida. In fact, Prince Tunduka Babangida asked President Buhari directly, what about the fuel subsidies? And then Buhari went on this tangent about uprisings or whatever. But because he dragged it out for 8 years, this administration has to rip off the Band-Aid. There is no other, he doesn't have any other choice. And the previous administration already secured the $800 million loan from the World Bank. So the money is there for the palliatives. The subsidy has to go, and you can't do a phased removal. If you are removing it in phases, you are still subsidizing. So if you take off 10% now, 20% now, 20%, there's still 80%, 70%, 60% that you're still funding. It has to go by June. So he's got 30 days between now and the end of June. He's got time. The money the subsidy provision in the budget runs out, and you have to
run the econometrics of short-term inflationary pressures on the economy, and also let's run the econometrics of long-term inflationary pressures. Also factor in the variable that your so-called savior refinery, ceteris paribus, kicks in maybe year-end or thereabouts. Will it still churn in that, what comes? So does the marketer go to that one to get all of that? Let's just run the econometric analysis and see the impact on the economy.
Short-term prices go up. The central bank governor, Godwin Emefiele, at the prior MPC meeting when he raised rates to 18%, gave 3 price shocks for food inflation. 1, transportation, road transportation. 2, insecurity in food-producing areas. 3, legacy infrastructure issues. Those are your shocks. Fuel passes through to road transportation because over 96-97% of goods are moved by road. So when you hike fuel prices, it translates to transportation of food, it translates to transportation of goods. So that's where you see your short-term inflationary spike. But over the long term, supply is guaranteed. That's the whole point. When you remove fuel subsidies, more players come in. That is literally the definition of a deregulated downstream sector. There are 3 stocks, I don't know if we'll get time to get into them: Corn Oil, Eterna PLC, and Total. They all ripped yesterday along with the market. You know why? Because investors said that if President Tinubu is removing fuel subsidies, the downstream sector profitability cap will rise, which means that there will be more dividends for shareholders down the line. And those companies... No, but diesel is deregulated already.
Yeah, but did this work when this was the arguments we're making when diesel was deregulated? Did it work this way? Did it work like clockwork like that?
So when you say it worked, diesel is coming, diesel is coming down. It's at 592 now from highs of almost 900 because oil prices have been coming down. Yeah. So that is how it works. When oil prices go up, diesel goes up. When oil prices come down, diesel comes down. That is the same. Yeah, these are the stocks now. Okay. The markets validates what the president said at his speech, that he wants to deregulate the downstream sector, and that's why you saw these stocks particularly. And I hope we have his quotes. There's 2 particular quotes that he made are part of the reason why the stock markets returned what it did. Here it is. I have a message, and this one about him going off script, I don't know, because this was pretty specific. I have a message for our investors, local and foreign. Our government shall review all their complaints about multiple taxation and various anti-investment inhibitors. He then went further and used a particular word. I mean, I don't know how you can, this is off script. We shall ensure that investors and foreign business repatriate their hard-earned dividends. Wait, let me finish. The repatriation issue is with respect to forex illiquidity in Nigeria. Airlines, stock exchange investors, they have not been able to pull their money out because of a lack of FX. Now, by the way, the bulk of your FX goes to importing refined fuel into the country. Much of your FX, you cannot even sell your oil because of oil theft, which was rampant under the last administration, and that is constraining your FX. So him sending and telegraphing to the market that I will deregulate the downstream sector, downstream stocks go up. I will give you for FX liquidity, stock market goes up, because in foreign, look, we have a chart on foreign investment, foreign portfolio investors. It dropped from 54% in 2015 to 8% as of April. So foreign investors, Buhari chased them out of the market. This is FDI. Look at FDI in 2008, 4.6 billion, dropped all the way to 468 million in 2022. FPI, foreign portfolio investment, as well as foreign investors. Look at this chart. I mean, look, this is a disaster. 53.7% of foreign investors in 2015, dropping all the way down to 8.2% as of April of last month. So what Tinubu did was to tell them, hey, listen, I will bring liquidity to the market. I will do, it's talk, there has to be action to follow it. And that is what boosted it. So,
is good. But
that's what they're talking about here.
You see, the bone of contention here is the framework at which you're going to pull it out. That's what I contest. And if you contest that, subsidy, you didn't hear what subsidy is going to do, you can get the original speech, Rotus, and I place a wager with you that if you see subsidies gone in the original speech, I'll pay you a wager.
All right, so let me ask you a question.
I mean,
so
If you see subsidies
Okay,
gone,
but
it is
Rufai,
original
so
speech.
he's
Rotus,
Rotus.
I'll pay you a wager.
Investors still liked what he said, even if he had the. They still liked what he said.
asking you.
I shall
Yeah,
ensure,
go ahead.
Go ahead.
I shall ensure that the wager is definite, that he remits, he actually makes good on his word.
Yeah.
I want to
I'll
ask
pay you a
you,
wager.
you have talked about the fact that if it's the Band-Aid has been ripped off.
Yeah.
But what we're saying, what a number of analysts have said is that yes, subsidy has to go, but there ought to have been coherent policies that he should
Simple.
have announced
Framework.
almost immediately.
Yeah.
Now, even though the error has already been made, what should he begin to do? Yesterday, he had a meeting with Mr. Godwin Emefiele of the CBN, with the labor unions. He also had a meeting with Mele Kyari of NNPCL. What do you think the outcome of that kind of meeting should be? What should he be saying to Nigerians? What kind of policies should be put in place? What kind of, when you rip a bandage, you quickly put something to ease the pain of the bandage or of the ripping off. What should he begin to do? Because that's what we should start discussing.
Right.
Subsidy is gone, and a number of people have agreed that it is a good move. It is just the way it's been done. So what should he start doing now?
Okay, so your meeting with your CBN governor, that is on the exchange rate. He wants a single, transparent exchange rate, and that's what Godwin Emefiele went to Publicity go and talk to him about. So that has to happen. Once you have a single exchange rate, it is transparent, everybody knows how it is. Foreign investors come back into the market. When Buhari was elected, the stock market went on a 10-day bull run. It was continuously optimistic because they were expecting that President Buhari, former president, would change things. It didn't happen, and the market ended up dropping. The optimism you are seeing in the markets from what President Tinubu said is the expectation that these moves, FX transparency, single exchange rate, subsidy removal, will be implemented on time. So that's what it needs to do. But something needs to be said here. 3% of your consumption of total fuel in this country, the bottom of the pyramid only accounts for it. This fuel subsidy we've been talking about
It's for the elite.
it's for the elite. So when people say, oh, do the framework, do this and do that and do that, it's a tax cut for, frankly, 4 of us sitting at this table right now. So I don't need a tax help from the government. I know how much I pay for fuel in my vehicle and so on and so forth. I'm ready to pay it. So the brunt of this, yeah, it will fall on the poor Nigerians, but the consumption
Food prices.
Everything is tied to it. Transportation
costs.
price. Everything is tied to it.
Look, but you have to be careful about this. When you are saying you want to put in palliatives and this and that is a subsidy transfer. You are moving your subsidy from fuel and now want to cushion transportation costs. You want to cushion food costs. Be careful with that because you're just moving money that you want to put in investment. And how long will that go for? How long will palliatives go for?
Rotus, 4 of us on this table, we can bear the brunt. You know why? We are higher than the lower class Nigerians.
Yeah, of course.
But if you go out there and feel the pain of the lower class Nigerians, people that have to trek, this narrative will not sail with them. And you see, and that's why even the most developed countries in the world have a benchmark. Even America, the bastion of capitalism, have a benchmark for people that are caught in the lower rung. There is health insurance companies. The health insurance is worth trillions in America. But there's Obamacare for people on the lower rung that people can get into.
How is Obamacare funded?
You get.
How is Obamacare funded?
The truth has to be said.
No, answer that, Rufai. How is Obamacare funded?
No.
Taxes.
I know.
On the rich.
I know.
That's how you fund it. So instead of
let me land.
Okay, go ahead.
Let me
land.
So when you have that, you also have to take care of the people that are the lower rung. And take, for instance, people that will move their goods and services through, the roads that are going to use petrol. That's why you see that there's a pass-through effect even on food inflation, because most of those local farmers that you eat from, all will normally come from the farms and all of that. So when we are also thinking about people like us that can take the burden, all right, that can afford to buy at any price, we should also look at the people that are facing it at the lower rung of the ladder. And those are the people Labour are speaking up for. Okay. We are all capitalists.
So very quickly.
Hold on one second.
Okay.
We're out of time.
Oh, we're out of time.
Well, you
Okay.
had something to say about his statement on lifting of trade, on what his policies around trade. Did you want to say something about that before we go?
Look, it's very simple. Economic growth is how you alleviate poverty. You cannot do palliatives and forever. You must grow the economy. If you grow the economy, you increase the wealth of everybody. As it says, a rising tide lifts all boats, right? Yeah, this was just a bull market versus bear market. This was Nairametric saying Tinubu, Nigerian stocks post a 5.2% gain. So they're just playing on words. But that's a bull market is a positive market. But the point of this is that palliatives cannot go on forever.
We support that.
If you grow and channel this money into proper health insurance, you channel this money into infrastructure, the roads we're talking about that they transport food, channel it into power. 30 to 40% of overhead costs for businesses goes to power. Put the subsidy money there, you will help the poor. That's where the money should go.
But it takes time for that to happen. That's what we're saying.
It's a healthy
It takes
debate.
time.
It's a healthy debate. You love it. We love it.
Thank you, Rotus.